Hey guys, Vazzy back here, and today we have episode 6 of our Pittsburgh Penguins franchise mode here in NHL 25, and today is a very important one as we're going to see if this team finally has what it takes to get to the Stanley Cup playoffs once again. So you'll see here first I sent down Mikael Ilyin to the AHL, was a -16, not the worst offensive numbers, but I think he could use a little bit more time down there. And in his place, I ended up putting Brian Rust, and I called up Vasily Ponomarov. He was one of the members of the Jake Gensel trade, putting up decent numbers there in the AHL. We're going to see what he has at the NHL level. Outside of that, defensively, I don't believe anything's changed, and goaltending wouldn't have changed at all since the last episode. So we just got to keep going here into the second half and up into the trade deadline, and we'll see what this team is made of. See if we're going to be buying or we'll see if we'll be selling. So we'll jump into this first game here against the Rangers. 0-0 after 1. After 2, it is 3-1 for the Rangers. Malkin will get our lone goal, and the game will finish with a 4-1 win for the Rangers. So not the best way here to start out the episode, but we'll see what will happen here. So Jacob Bernard-Docker goes down. That's fine for now. We can just have Sebastian Aho take his place in the lineup, and then let's switch out the goalies here. And then I believe we can continue on with the sim. We should hopefully be getting Sidney Crosby back here very, very soon, in the next week or so, I want to say. So that's going to be a huge boost, obviously, to the lineup. That's kind of been our issue. We've been playing, decent, but then when we lost Crosby, we've kind of been going off a cliff a little bit. I did beat the Panthers there in the shootout. Samuel Poulin, that's down there in the AHL. Important game against the Devils. That is a divisional opponent as we lose Matthew Savoy. That's not great. Current third line center. I don't know if he's done amazing this year, but we will get Travis Boyd in there, and then we'll move Ponomarov to the center and Boyd to the wing. And then power play, I'm guessing it just kind of all bugged out, or no, maybe the 4-man. Yeah, it is missing a defenseman. I hate how when you go substitute all lines, it doesn't actually ever do substitute all lines, is what it is. We'll throw Shillington in there for the moment. He has some offensive upside. Bernard-Docker is back. That's good. We'll wait a couple of days, probably after the back-to-back. That is a win over the New Jersey Devils going on here against the Detroit Red Wings. That is another win. Back-to-back 2-1 wins there for the team, going up against the Minnesota Wild up next here. And that's a loss in the shootout. So we do get, 5 out of 6 of the last possible points. That's a good pace we can be on. And that's without our captain in the lineup, the guy putting up all the points. So I am happy with that. Sebastian Aho there can come out as well, now that we have Jacob Bernard-Docker back to full health. And then Blomqvist will come back in and Jari will sit on the bench. So continuing on in here against the Rangers here, second half of the back-to-back. Multiple players are coming back. I'm guessing that's hopefully Sid. Let's take a look. Scratch players, Sid and Matthew Savoy. Awesome. So we're going to be getting healthier here. We'll wait until the Sharks game and we will get them both back into the lineup. And some injuries down there in the AHL, not the biggest worry. Samuel Poulin is back in the AHL. That's totally fine. So let's go edit up the lineups here. I'm guessing both of them should be at full health now. Let's go to scratches. Kessel there. Actually doing surprisingly well there on that fourth line. Interesting. Crosby, let's get you back in there. You are good to go. So you're going to go down with Olesen. How do we have this? Bunting's going to go to the third line. And then Crosby and Malkin will switch places. So Crosby's obviously taking the draws. And then Boyd, he definitely has started regressing more. We'll definitely keep Appleton in the lineup over him. And then we will get Matthew Savoy back into his third line center spot with some power play time. And Ponomarov hasn't scored yet in 6 games played. -1, it's not awful. And while we're here, may as well switch out Blomqvist and get Jari back in since he has been putting up the better numbers so far this year. So I think all that small admin stuff is taken care of. Now that we have a full healthy squad, let's continue on with the sim. Against the Sharks. And of course, when it's not a great team and we get healthy, we lose 6-1. We gotta love how this game works sometimes. Continue on here against the Chicago Blackhawks, see if we can rebound here with a big win. That will be a 4-1 win. There we go. So putting up a big W there. Let's continue on with the sim. Looks like we have a little bit of a break, at least 5 days off here, if not a little bit more, before we face the Florida Panthers here. Continue on with the sim. That is a loss in overtime. Still do at least get the point out of it. Going to need all these points here. It's going to come down to the wire here, I'm sure. Still sitting third in the division, 26, 20, and 4. But it's very, very tight. The Devils, the Flyers, and I'm pretty sure on the Atlantic side of things it was pretty tight there too. Big 1-0 shutout there over the Carolina Hurricanes, following that up with a 5-3 loss to the Utah Hockey Club. So let's go switch out the goalies here real quick. Give Jari again a little bit of a break. Blomqvist will start at least the next game, maybe the next few, depending on his performance. Up against the Vegas Golden Knights, that will be a 3-2 win. We'll keep him in until he loses. Couple of tougher teams by the look of it coming up, the Predators and the Avalanche. It's a 3-1 loss to the Predators, unfortunately. Let's get Jari back in there. It wasn't Blomqvist's fault, but let's get our starting goalie, the guy who's been consistently putting up the better numbers, back into the net. Let's continue on here against the Avalanche, who are a very, very good team in this universe still. And against the Avs, that is a 6-3 loss. So it looks like one more game here, at least against the Western teams for the moment, that being the LA Kings. Can we rebound with a win? That will be a big 5-3 win. Okay, so there we go. We're still looking all right here, sitting 29, 23, and 4. Another win there against the Montreal Canadiens, back-to-back coming up. But yeah, we got to keep up with this performance here. We're getting close to the deadline. We do lose there to the Blue Jackets in regulation, but I'm leaning more toward buying with this team. I know we're not guaranteed anything, but I don't know. I like this core. We got some younger guys, we got some older guys. Put them over there, 17 games. Not great. Savoy's not doing great either. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how this team performs here. Still have a few games left here before the deadline. It is February 26th. I'm guessing the deadline is basically at the start of this coming month. Back-to-back here against St. Louis and Tampa Bay up ahead. Let's get to that game against St. Louis and see if we can add another win on the board. And there is the trade deadline. That is a 2-0 shutout loss to the St. Louis Blues, unfortunately. Switch the goalies out here, take a look at some of the stats, and then we will jump right into the trade deadline. So Jari, get back in the net against the Tampa Bay Lightning here in Florida. That will be AHL injury down there. That is a big 5-2 win going into the deadline. So one more game technically before we get into there, sitting 31, 25, and 5. And it's going to be a tight one here. It looks like we're still really fighting for that last wildcard spot. Technically, we are still in the playoffs in that third divisional spot, but like there's a bunch of teams there with 66, 67 with us. If you go over to the Atlantic side of things, you have Ottawa right there, you have Tampa, you have Montreal right there. Like, yeah, it's not a gimme by any means here. There's a lot of teams fighting for those last few spots. Looking at our team standings here, Malkin leading the way with points, Crosby there still above a point per game. Tarasenko's doing pretty good. Honestly, like, I think we're going to be buying here. So maybe do we look to try and extend a guy like Tarasenko? He is going to be a pending UFA. And I guess it really does come down to money. We can look at that here shortly. Looking at the defensive side of things, defensively I'm honestly pretty happy with this team. Had a bit of a shaky start for sure with a couple of the guys, but everyone's been pretty consistent. Then goaltending, Jari's really turned his numbers around. Blomqvist isn't doing bad, but yeah, Jari is definitely our starter here, at least in the short term. So a couple of things here I want to do just before I jump into the trade deadline. Let's go to the trading block. Let's just clear everything off here. I hate how it always interrupts you when you're trying to find trades and stuff. It's always super, super annoying. So let me go and get rid of all this stuff here. Also, I don't know why with the surplus, when you clear it the first time, there's always more stuff to clear. Gotta love these glitches that, last year to year. Something I think we'll always deal with. So now that's done. Let's go take a look at the contracts here quickly. We have a couple of guys who are pending UFAs. They are older guys, but I'm not opposed to bringing some of them back, depending on what the price tag is. So let's go all expiring here. And let's see. Like a Kevin Hayes, I don't think we're going to bring him back either way. I want to get Savoy into that second line center position next year. 5.25 isn't too bad, but I'm more looking at a guy like a Tarasenko here, bringing him back. So he wants 4.3 for 2. 2 years is a little risky. I wouldn't mind doing like a 4-year, and then again, we can give him a little bit of an option. Still can move him either next year or the year after, depending what we're looking at. So let's send that deal out. I'm fine with that when it comes to money and years. A guy like Bunting, I don't really see us bringing back. He hasn't been great this year. Can definitely wait on him. Olsen, what is he asking for now? 1.85. Again, it's still a little high for being a fourth liner. And outside of that, not much I want to do. Blomqvist, we can maybe give him an extension if he's cheap. 1.1 for 1. 2 years goes like $6 million bucks. So let's just do a 1 year. Let's just do like 950K. Again, that gives us some security there with our backup / starter goalie for next season. We'll likely be running back the same tandem once again. But yeah, I think that's all we have to really do with contracts here. I'm not going to move a guy like Hayes, like I said, but I don't think we're going to be bringing him back next summer. So let's just continue on here. Have one more game against the Rangers. I'm assuming it'll just put us into the trade deadline screen. Wow, Tarasenko actually accepts right away, and Blomqvist accepts right away. Awesome. So we got both our deals done early, and yeah, don't actually get to see what happened in the Rangers game. Keep the current block, and let's jump into the deadline and see who is available here from other teams. Again, we're not going to mortgage the future too much, but if there's guys that are reasonable here that can add to the squad, you know, I say we do it for sure. I could bring in Alex Ovechkin, play with Crosby and Malkin. Could bring back Pettersson there. Nyquist actually is interesting. Doesn't have a ton of value. Putting up pretty good points. Maybe we revisit that here shortly. But I'm going to go take a look. I'm going to go and make some mock trades here. And if I find some good stuff, I will come back to you guys and we will take a look at the trades. So after looking around, I really do think Nyquist is kind of the best bang for our buck right now. Still is producing very well. He is getting up there in age, but he is a pending UFA, 85 overall, has 47 points in 62 games for the Jets. Obviously plus minus isn't great, but they're not the best team in the world. I think he can slot in on the top 6, as well as Colin Miller. I know I said we didn't really need anything defensively, but hey, he can be a good 7th defenseman, better than Aho. In exchange, we're going to send Tristan Brose. He is a real-life prospect for the Penguins. 23 though at this point, only 77. Not the best stats in the AHL. Samuel Poulin needs a change of scenery. At this point, he's not going to do anything with us. Does suck to see, as well as a 4th round pick. Let's send this over to the Jets. I think it makes sense for both sides, and it is trade accepted. So I'm going to keep looking around, and I'll see if I can find some more trades. So one more deal I was kind of looking at here that caught my attention. So Sebastian Aho, he is just the 7th defenseman at this point, and we have Colin Miller. So he's basically just going for the roster spot. We will also be sending a 2nd round pick to Anaheim in exchange for Adam Henrique. So if somehow I guess he found his way back to Anaheim from Edmonton, he's putting up monster numbers for the Ducks. 60 points currently for them. I think he'd be a great addition to the 2nd or 3rd line for us. And he's a guy I think could bring us some clutch playoff scoring if we do end up getting there. Anaheim, what do you say? Trade accepted. So I think that's all I'm going to do here. If there is anything else, I will cut back to you guys. Alright, so that was all I ended up doing here at the trade deadline. Show off some of the other trades before I show you guys the lineups that I have gone through and made. Again, these are guys and trades that we made that, you know, they're going to be adding to our team for this year. We are buying, but I don't think we really gave up all that much to acquire those guys. So, I don't know. I like the look of our team currently. I'll show you guys the lineups here. So, first line stays the same. Tarasenko, Crosby, Malkin. Nyquist will go on that 2nd line. We can switch him with McGroarty if we need. It'll give it the +2 to the 0. We'll see how he performs. Adam Henrique will slot in on that 3rd line with Matthew Savoy. And the 4th line, don't really have a natural center, which kind of sucks, is what it is. Bunting will slot in there for now. I ended up giving Colin Miller the last pairing defensive spot. Jacob Bernard Docker wasn't doing bad or anything. He was a -3 here, I believe. So we'll just try out Miller. If it works, it works. If not, we can go back to Bernard Docker. And obviously Jari will still be starting games for us here down the stretch. So let's go up to this Panthers game. We'll jump into this one, and then we'll just get the rest of the season done. So Panthers, let's go and sim this game. See if we can get a huge win after the trade deadline with all those additions. First period, 1-1, Malkin and Barkov. Second period, 2-1 for the Penguins, Matthew Savoy. 2-2 after the third. Overtime goes nowhere, and in the shootout, Penguins do win. Carlson and Crosby get the goals in the shootout. So we pick up the 2 points after the trade deadline. Let's just continue to do that here. Going to need some big wins in the next 20 or so games. So we have the Utah Hockey Club and the Dallas Stars up next, back-to-back. Another AHL injury we can continue to sim through. Against the Utah Hockey Club, that is a loss in regulation by a score of 2-1. Switch out the goalies, and we will get Blomqvist in the net for Dallas. You need to at least be picking up 1 point here, if not 2, almost all the time. These regulation losses are definitely going to hurt us down the stretch. Continuing on against the Dallas Stars, that is a big 3-2 win for us. Continue on here against the St. Louis Blues. Nashville Predators will be up next. Against the Blues, a huge win in overtime. There we go, that's 4 points out of 4 points for our last 2 games. Continue on here against the Predators. See if we can make that 6 for 6 here. And we do not. Big regulation loss there to the Predators. That sucks to see. So let's continue on here. Boston Bruins up next. Another part of a back-to-back. Come on, guys. Have to win these games, especially in the division and in the conference. Another regulation loss to the Bruins, and now we have a couple of games here in the division. First off is the Flyers, and then I believe we have the Devils up next. So these are teams that we are directly fighting with. We have to win these games. Nyquist, how have you been doing? You are 1 goal and -4. Yeah, that's not going to happen. McGroarty will slot up. Adam Henrique, he has no points, but he hasn't been doing anything negative. Colin Miller, yeah, basically the same thing. Haven't done anything negative, you're just kind of there at the moment. Continue on, a couple of huge games here, back-to-back actually against the Devils. We do win against the Philadelphia Flyers, that's huge. They do get the point in overtime, is what it is. Against the Devils, first game, we lose Vitaly Kravtsov there in the AHL. Against the Devils, that's another huge win in overtime. Unfortunately, again, they get the point, but we get 2, that's all that matters. And another game here against the Devils. Can we take all the points? We cannot. It's a regulation loss. That one does hurt quite a bit. Alright, so we have the Flames up next. Where do we sit right now? So we're actually out of the playoffs with, 11 games to go. 36, 30, and 5. But we're still right in there. Everyone's right in there. Come on, against the Flames. Let's pick up all these points. That is a regulation loss, 6-4. Couple of big division games once again. Carolina and Philly. First off, against the Carolina Hurricanes, who are out of it, so at least we're not fighting with them, but still we need to pick up these points. Come on, guys. Against the Carolina Hurricanes, it's another regulation loss. Okay, let's switch out the goalies. We have the Philadelphia Flyers up next. This is a team we're directly competing with here. Let's just switch up the lineups here. Let's, I don't know, what else do we want to do? Hayes, you're going down. Henrique, you're going up. Blomqvist, you're going in. I don't know. We just need to start scoring more goals here. Defensively, Miller, how have you been? -2. Bernard Docker, you are going back in for the rest of the season unless you're hurt. Miller, you haven't been bad, but we just got to go back to where we were prior to the deadline, seemingly when we were winning more games. Against the Philadelphia Flyers here, huge game. That's a big win in the shootout. Beat the Flyers, I think, almost every time this year. That's awesome to see. Back-to-back here against the Wings. First in Detroit and then in Pittsburgh. Can we take these points? Regulation lost the first game. Let's get Tristan Jarry back into the net for the second game and see if we can at least salvage one of these wins here. Okay, so Jarry is back in. Let's just continue on here. We're running out of room here. Still out of the playoff spot. We're 3 points now behind the Devils. That's not great. Yeah, I don't know. We just have to continue on there. I saw the Sens, who we were playing in just about 5 days or so. They're right in the hunt. So, yeah, let's just continue on here. Big win there in the second half of the back-to-back against the Wings, going up against the Boston Bruins, who are very easily in a playoff spot themselves. Against the Bruins, it's another regulation loss. So this game against the Senators could be one of the ones that decides our season. We got to jump into this one here. If we lose, I really don't like our chances. If we win, there is still a little bit of hope there that we can get in the wild card. So Olsen 1-0 for the Penguins, 2-2 after 2. Tarasenko gets one for us, Stützle Batherson, and in the third they take it Zub and Norris. So that's going to make our road to the playoffs quite a bit harder. I'd say at this point we almost have to win out. It's not good. Have a game against the Caps and then back-to-back with the Colorado Avalanche, so that's definitely not going to be easy. But let's just continue on here, see where this team will take us against the Capitals. It's a huge win there in regulation, 5-2. Against the Colorado Avalanche, 7-4 win. There we go, back-to-back. It's 4 points. Can we continue that stretch against the really good Chicago Blackhawks for whatever reason? They ended up, I guess, rebuilding very, very fast here. Looking at the standings, so we're 2 points back at the Flyers, who aren't even in. Looks like the Atlantic has all the wild card spots, and we have to win all these games. And right, just like that, the Chicago Blackhawks will eliminate us. Last game here against the Tampa Bay Lightning does not matter. We do win, but yeah, we're gonna be like just outside of the playoff spot. That sucks. Canadians do steal the last wild card spot with 90 points. We had 87. So that sucks. Everyone has wrapped up and played all their games. Let's see, take a look at the standings. Even in our division, the Flyers didn't make it and they did better than us. So 89 to 87 points. 92 got you a divisional spot, so we were still 5 back there. Take a look at the player stats and how everybody did this year. Carlson leading the way, interesting. Henrique led our team in scoring for forwards, yikes. Did 10 and 20 since coming over, he actually was pretty good for us. Guinea Malkin 69, Crosby 67, Tarasenko did pretty good with 60. A guy like Nyquist was a -8, only put up 8 points, he was disappointing. Hayes did decent this year, -18's not good though. Savoy was disappointing once again. Outside of that, everyone else was fine, I guess. Defensively, again, everyone was, decent enough as well. Bernard Docker did fall off a little bit more, unfortunately. In goaltending, a guy like Jari was fine. He went up and down throughout the season. Same with Blomqvist. I don't know. It's a tough one this year. It definitely does suck to miss out just by a little margin there, that's for sure. I definitely think this team could have gone to the playoffs and, maybe done a little bit of damage. It's hard to say. I'm going to go sim to the end of the playoffs. We'll take a look at the playoff tree, we'll take a look at the awards, take a look at the draft lottery, and all that fun stuff. Once again, the Toronto Maple Leafs are your Stanley Cup champions as they have defeated the Edmonton Oilers in a 7-game series. Who would have known that EA thought that Toronto was going to win back-to-back? They won it in year 1 and they've won it in year 2. So I'll scroll through all these awards here. I very much highly doubt we have anything. Cole Eiserman there winning the Calder, very interesting. But yeah, no awards for your Pittsburgh Penguins this year. That isn't too surprising. Let's just continue on here. We are a day out from the draft lottery. Let's see where we are. We are pick number 14. So we stayed exactly where we were. Kind of worst case scenario. Trying to compete for a playoff spot, just miss out. You don't get the high pick. Is what it is. Let's go take a look at the draft class here, see who we can be getting with that 14th overall selection. Oh, we have 2 franchise guys, Dalton Dahlman and Gavin McKenna. Hate when they add guys in, but it's never going to change. So do we have any medium elites? I almost guarantee this Tom Callahan guy is. And I think we can probably get him at 14. So not all is lost here. We do have some choices and some options. We can move up if we really do want to. But, at least there is some options there, which is good. Take a look at the retired players. Blake Wheeler is the top retiree, followed by Mark Giordano, Mark Hoffman. They will headline this year's class. Goaltending, Jonathan Quick, James Reimer, and Jonas Enroth. So no one too crazy retiring there for players. You have some people becoming coaches and some people becoming scouts. So let's get right on to the draft here. That will end up concluding today's video. Next episode we will be doing the whole off season and we will be getting everything set up for the next regular season. Again, we have some big choices to make. I think we have 1, maybe 2 more years where we really do try and go for it with a Crosby and Malkin Letang. Outside of that, I think after that it's time to start rebuilding with this team. We have some good pieces. but I think a little bit more of that younger talent will be needed here to fully turn this team around once the older guys are aged out. But that will do it for today's video here. I will see you all in the next one.